I had to change the way that I thought, because now I realize that it's not asking people for money. You're providing them an opportunity to make money. And that's really what it's about. And so on that first go around, I actually structured a lot of the investment as debt as opposed to equity. And so I was able to retain 100% of the ownership in the single family portfolio.
Welcome to the Power of Passive Income and How to Retire Rich with your host, Vijay Patel. Get your financial advice straight from the experts and learn how to take your first steps towards financial freedom. If you're ready to retire rich, then listen up.
So good morning, everyone. We have Reggie in the house. And as you know, the story of the podcast is Power of Passive Investing and helping like everybody retire rich kind of thing. But so we have Reggie today, and like we have an incredible story to be told by himself. And we want to definitely have some learning lessons that how did he transition himself from W-2 being a self-employed, doing real estate, doing multifamily, and making a transition in a way where he is independent, happy, and able to support his family and not being trapped in a rat race of a W-2 where there's never ending, paying bills kind of thing. So Reggie, if you can just, take the stage and introduce yourself, and we can move forward.
Sure. Thank you, Vijay, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. So my name is Reggie Ross. I started off as a chemical engineer in the oil and gas industry. Spent a vast majority of my career there, mainly in corporate sales. Spent a little time on the technical side, and touched all the major business functions during my tenure. Now, kind of in parallel, I slowly started getting into real estate through flips. I turned my primary residence into a rental and moved into a condo, and that was the beginning of the experiment. And I started very slow. I started a long time ago, but I would like to think that my growth curve is exponential. I've done a lot just in the past few years. So I started off a single family, accumulated a sizable portfolio, and then I liquidated my single families and transitioned into multifamily and haven't looked back. The economies of scale, just all the benefits that come along with multifamily just appealed to me. It's where I always wanted to be. It just made sense to me for a lot of reasons. And so in the past several years, I've linked up with two partners, and we basically, right now, we use private equity to raise capital and purchase, operate, and value add properties in the Southeast markets.
Understand. So what was the thinking behind moving from W-2 being a self-employed? Because that's where people get stuck, is fear, right? So what was the mental process and mental thinking that, okay, I don't want to be doing on a W-2, and I want to be financially independent for me, for my family. So what was the thinking process? Just walk us through that.
Well, I think at one time or another, I think everybody has had the thought that, yeah, I would like to have more money, and, so I don't have to clock in and out, or, you don't have to be constrained by, policies and things that your employer imposes on you. And really, to me, it was family. It was a pretty personal reason, actually. So I had a daughter when I was very young. And I missed a lot of her childhood because I was going to college, I was working, and, looking back, I missed out on some really important times in her life because I was, trying to do the right thing and establish a career. And, looking back, or I guess looking forward, should I say, I want to spend more time with my family, and I don't want to spend it traveling all the time. I don't want to spend it, in a 9-to-5. And oil and gas industry, it's not just 9 to 5. It's a lot of times it's 24/7. And so those are just a few of the reasons that I chose to take this path. And I never knew it was possible. It always seemed so out of reach, but I realized after forming some partnerships and having discussions with other folks like yourself that it's very possible.
Great. So, like the second question is, and like I think everybody wants to know is like, how did you scale yourself from 0 to 1,000 door in really short time? So, like, just walk us through that process.
Well, early on with single family, I kind of piecemealed properties together. I might have done, I did a burr here and there. I'd buy, renovate, rent it out, do the cash out refinance, and kind of just repeat the process. And that's more of a linear approach. And then so I got into buying portfolios of single family homes, and that was really my first experience with raising investor capital. And that was an interesting process because that doesn't come natural to me, the capital raising process. I had to change the way that I thought, because now I realize that it's not asking people for money, you're providing them an opportunity to make money. And that's really what it's about. And so on that first go around, I actually structured a lot of the investment as debt as opposed to equity. And so I was able to retain 100% of the ownership in the single family portfolio. So once I did that and accumulated more, I eventually just kind of liquidated everything and rolled it into multifamily. But yeah, that was kind of that was the step, I think, there, just kind of seeing the economies of scale with multifamily.
Got it. So can you share some of your investor stories? How did change their life by investing passively in your deals? Because this is the show all about passive investing and like trying to, spread the word that, okay, like, even if you don't have time, you can still invest passively and be part of the deal. It's not like, oh, somebody's just trying to take your money away, but you can literally be part of the deal, get to know the guys and, at least get to know the process too. And maybe you can, jump up the ladder.
Well, some of the first couple of deals that I did that involved outside capital, I really had to give away a lot, or I had to offer very attractive terms to attract the investor capital because of my lack of experience managing investor capital. And I was very willing to do that. I know that sometimes you have to put in that work to establish a reputation. I was happy to do so, and it worked out well. I think some of the folks that I worked with early on were very happy in the deals that we took full cycle. So far we've been able to meet all of our investor expectations, and no deal ever goes to plan. But the deals that we have taken full cycle, like for instance, we took one to market last year and sold it several years earlier than we had actually planned. But we kind of saw what was happening on the horizon in the debt markets, and we had already executed the value add plan, and so we decided to harvest profits. And so that was just an example of where we were able to outperform from an IRR perspective and a cash on cash perspective, even though we sold a little bit earlier. So the trade-off there was that everybody had to deal with the recapture on the depreciation a little bit earlier than anticipated. But I think all in all, when you factor in the time value of money, it made sense.